Yeah. And part of that has been because of the being around it for a while and just kind of like building relationships, you know. And I think that there's definitely there's definitely some really cool shit in the near future. Like I think the thing that's visible now that you can see is I have a really good friend and in this space at Dainese, Simone, who's amazing dude, and you know we've had a lot of conversations about, and Corey, you and I have had a lot of these conversations where it's like, what could you see differently in this?
Right.
And I think that zooming out of what you just asked me, when I'm kind of like taking in this world and what I see, there is a lot that I think could be better. And I realize that's a very subjective thing to say because it's like, does the regs motorcycle guy really care? But you know, there's things that, and this is all coming from, you know, my world and my experiences, but there's definitely things I'd like to see slightly differently, and then trying to like ascertain if that's feasible or worthwhile to spend the time to kind of affect those things. You know what I mean? And we've talked about this a lot with like shit, you know, merch, like all these things where you see stuff and you're like, doesn't seem like it's that great.
The
And
opportunity's there, but is it worth taking?
Yeah. And it's like, do they care? Do the people whose merch it is care? Do the people buying it, do they care? But yeah, so I've been kind of like paying a lot of attention to that stuff, as I do with most things from a design context. But you know, having lots of conversations with these people, with these some of the relationships I've built around this, and the one that's kind of been bubbling up that's been super cool is working with Simone at Dainese, and it is kind of like around custom works and the suits. And you know, if you look at the guys in MotoGP and you guys too, we only really see you guys in your factory gear, which I mean, you guys have practice suits too, but what I'm getting at is like the practice suit is kind of the only place where you can really see something kind of different and unique. And you know, Simone and I had a lot of conversations in the last couple years where it's like, you know, oftentimes when you see someone at a track day that's made a custom suit, it's like, okay, cool, they picked some bright colors and put them on these panels, and it's like, so that's not that interesting, you know. And we've been talking about, you know, what could you do differently in that context. And also, you know, when I see what these, I feel like at times they don't use these really cool kids enough in these processes, you know, where it's like you see them in the race capacity. And, you know, VR46 and Bez is a great example because it's like those dudes are just together riding bikes all the time. And it's insane. Like, you've never seen a clip of them fucking lifting weights. Like, that's part of their whole thing. They don't show that. Their whole thing is riding motorcycles. Yeah. And so you see that and you get this vibe that there's this like different kind of thing, which is super cool. But you know, part of that and part of the conversation we had is like, hey, it would be really cool if you were able to take someone like Bez and then do a cool practice suit for him that people would then see, and then be able to do that in like custom works, you know, and kind of ramp things up where it's like, instead of just putting colors and panels, it's like, oh shit, here's like 4 prints that you could choose from, you know, here's ways to kind of elevate it in a way. And for those brands, they could then be like, look, this suit he wore is really cool. It doesn't really have it's not a weekend race suit. Right. So they have more leverage with those kind of things to kind of like show these kids like unique personalities and style, and then kind of like be able to make that something that's on the table for other people to kind of like
Yeah.
have or do something similar to, you know, which has been super cool.
I think, like, dude, my favorite time of the year is the Tuesday or the test after GP and seeing whoever does it. And I mean, Rossi was like, I don't want to say one of the originators, but he was definitely the guy to push the limits on bright colors and do some, you know, like actually take some style and like, you know, have some sort of
style wise. Air Max 95s on a scooter, wheelie, Stone Island jacket. Like, dude, all of that is like amazing. And kind of like, you know, the main reference point, I think, you know, for all of that stuff. And some of it has to do with just like young Italian culture, but also he was just amazing. But yes, seeing the test shit is amazing because a lot of them contractually can't run certain shit, and you get to see the whole like one-off vibe, which is super cool.
Did you like the new all red Mark suit or stuff?
I thought it was cool.
It's interesting.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was an interesting vibe. I thought that
I love how they're doing like all the full bike too. Like it matches.
For sure.
It's not just a suit.
You know, at Grassini, it felt a little bit different because he's the dude coming. It's like a different scenario where he's coming out of this long Honda thing, coming onto this satellite bike. He had a bike and he had a whole kit that was different. In the Ducati box, it felt different, but contractually, he can't have the existing livery. You know, so. I thought it was sick. Like the brightness of it was insane, and like that's really leaning into like going to Ducati, you know. But also the white and silver factory scheme was super cool too. You know, but it did feel. You brought it up. It did feel different. Like it did split the box a little bit in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, Mark can do whatever the fuck he wants. But it's like most people don't understand what goes into that.
Yeah.